So we signed a deal with Polydor Records or Phonogram Records, and our first album came out, and it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but there was a busy enough rock scene then. By then, pop had become rock music, you know. So just to contextualize this was 1975, so uh, prog rock had happened, and Bowie and Roxy had happened, but punk hadn't happened, you know. And we were in that weird sort of little glove compartment of pop cultural history, I suppose, maybe with a band like Cockney Rebel, maybe with a band like Mott the Hoople, who, uh, but I don't really feel any affinity with either. But I mean, if you're saying, well, who else was around? I suppose you'd say there's a bands who'd heard the Velvet Underground for a start. Very important to me, the Velvet Underground. Uh, Bands that wrote their own material, uh, and bands that were influenced by the theatricality of Bowie and Roxy Music and the art school aesthetic. Um, and so we were out there, and people got us to a lesser or greater extent, and we were playing to anything between 600 and 1,500 people a night on our first headline tour, because the album had come out and had got quite a lot of attention. And so we were doing the big college circuit and town halls and stuff. And my agent phoned me and said, look, I need a favor from you. I'm being driven mad by a manager in London who's got this band. You might have heard of them. Got a bit of a naughty image, but they're sweet kids, really, blah, blah, blah. They need a gig out of town. They've done one show at St. Martin's Art School, but he wants them to play out of London to again, learn the craft, if you like. He said they're called the Sex Pistols, and can they support you in, I think, Middlesbrough? And I'd sort of heard a bit about them. I'd heard a little bit more about Malcolm than I'd heard about the band, but I thought, well, yeah, because I could understand that they're a bit like we were 2 years previously. So I said, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, one gig, what could possibly go wrong? So uh, I watched them do the sound check, and they were really shabby. But then I thought, I don't really know what the fuss is about, but I'm going to watch them when they do their show from the side. So the doors opened, and the fans came in, and we probably had 600, 800 people in that night. And I noticed that some of them were affecting this short, spiky hair, this safety pin torn stuff. Um, just to contextualize again, at that point, I had blue hair. I was Kid Strange. You know, we were Urban Blitz. We were Peter Dilemma. You know, we had all the names. We had the look, but not quite the look, to be honest. And it became clear that a generational baton had been handed over, and a musical generation is only 3 or 4 years, as anyone knows who's got brothers and sisters. You know, you like your own music. It helps define you and your tribe, your subculture, all that stuff, who you are, your identity. It's a good way of protesting against parental control. You know, the point of pop music, rock music back then definitely was to upset your parents first and foremost. It was not to be Adele and say, "Oh, that's nice." Your parents say, or you know, or like before it, the prog rock. You know, they say, "Oh, well, they're really good musicians." You know, if he only had got his hair cut, he could probably play in an orchestra. You know, so that was not what I wanted to do. Nor did I want to please anyone's parents. I've always been a political artist and quite iconoclastic. So, yeah, when the Pistols came, I sort of watched them from the side, and I knew it was over for us, because that generational baton had been handed over to kids who just wanted to play 2 chords and 2-minute songs with a really snotty attitude, you know. And so that came like a steamroller at us, and there we were. We had our first album was doing okay. Our second album was just about ready to come out. Suddenly punk rock was the only gig in town. And even though a lot of those bands were fans of ours, Dave Vanian from The Damned was a fan. Tim T.V. Smith was, a fan. That was Joy Division had supported us. The Skids had supported us. The Pistols had supported us. The Jam had supported us. The Simple Minds had supported us. So we were the sort of go-to band on the road that punk rock bands could get a gig with. But I knew by 1978, we sort of muddled through 1977. By 1978, I thought, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life, trying to hold back time or hold back the tide.